In 2013, EA acquired exclusive rights to publish Star Wars games. This was worrying in a time where some studios, including EA, were shifting away from single-player story modes and embracing loot-box-littered live service games. In 2015, they revealed their first Star Wars game, the reboot of Battlefront, which boasted stunning graphics but lacked a story mode. This trend persisted in the 2017 sequel with a ramp-up in microtransactions. The whole microtransaction saga of Battlefront 2 had its ups and downs, and I won't bore you with the details of that, since that's not what I intend to speak about today. Because in 2019, Star Wars fans were offered a new hope in Jedi Fallen Order. In short, this game was amazing. Developed by Respawn Entertainment, Jedi Fallen Order stood out as a captivating single-player, story-driven action-adventure set 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. The game followed the journey of Cal Kestis, a former Jedi Padawan living in secrecy as a scrapper. However, when Cal's use of the Force to rescue a friend during a workplace incident exposed him, he found himself pursued by the Galactic Empire and its Imperial Inquisitors. These events send Cal across the galaxy on a quest to complete his training and assist in restoring the fallen Jedi Order. Now, with all of that preamble out of the way, let's turn our attention to the present day of 2023 and the recently launched sequel to Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor. This game continues the story of Cal and his allies, picking up 5 years after the conclusion of the original title. In their continued resistance, the team learns of a planet inaccessible to the Empire and must contend with opposing forces to secure it as a safe haven. Jedi Survivor builds upon the action-adventure gameplay of its predecessor and expands it significantly. One of the notable differences from its predecessor is the expansive scale of the game's maps. In contrast to Fallen Order's Metroidvania-inspired level design, Jedi Survivor adopts a much more open-world approach, particularly on Kobo, a planet serving as a type of central hub and home base. While still incorporating the Metroidvania elements of hidden passages and blocked paths necessitating backtracking, the overall spaces are considerably larger. Kobo is also home to Paloon Saloon, a cantina now owned by Cal's ally Grease. As Cal explores Kobo and helps its people, he'll begin to recruit people for the saloon and unlock new services and amenities. In addition to increased map sizes, combat options have been significantly expanded as well. Cal now has the ability to master 5 distinct lightsaber stances, of which 2 can be equipped at any given time. In addition to the single blade stance, he will acquire proficiency in the double-bladed, dual-wielding, crossguard, and blaster stances.
I started blasting, bang, bang.
Each with its own set of strengths and weaknesses, granting players the freedom to tailor their combat style according to their preferences. With the introduction of these new stances also brings about the inclusion of additional skill trees. In addition to skill trees dedicated to Cal's survival, concentration, confusion, and telekinesis abilities, there is now a separate skill tree associated with each stance. To further enhance gameplay, players can discover or purchase equipable perks, which provide supplemental benefits such as higher experience yields or a greater parry window. Cal's expanded abilities are also accompanied by a heightened sense of style. Players have the opportunity to unlock an extensive range of cosmetics, including parts and colors for the lightsaber, blaster, and BD-1, as well as outfits and hairstyles, facial and cranial, for Cal. These cosmetics could be discovered hidden throughout the various maps or purchased at Doma's shop. Where Jedi Survivor really shines, though, is in its exceptionally cinematic design. The game not only delivers beautifully rendered cutscenes, but also includes animated finishers that occur at the end of a combo or as a result of stealth maneuvers, creating a thrilling and visually captivating spectacle. These moments often feel like rewards for skillfully executed combat. Additionally, a handful of boss fights incorporate quick-time sequences and fast-paced action that are tremendously fun. In many instances, Jedi Survivor feels like being immersed in a movie, as much of it would have been right at home on the big screen. It's no secret that this game's story scenes were meticulously crafted using techniques commonly used in major CGI Hollywood films these days. A lot of the animations were created with motion capture, including facial animations, requiring full character acting by professional actors, allowing for deep story immersion. Jedi Survivor tells a story about relationships, with friends, with foes, and with oneself and their principles. It was through these dynamics that the most compelling aspects of the game emerged, particularly when Cal was accompanied by another character, presence of BD1 excluded. There were several parts in the game where Cal is accompanied by an ally, which can be prompted to perform actions in combat. But the true value in this aspect of the game lay in the unfolding story and interactions between these characters. Even more impactful were the cutscenes that further developed the relationships between characters. But the story of Fallen Order does a lot of heavy lifting, so playing that first is a must in my opinion. There are many aspects about this game that I will praise, but it certainly had its flaws as well. Whenever I plan on reviewing a game, I avoid watching or reading anything about it until after I've completed my video. That being said, it was impossible to avoid the headlines highlighting that the PC version suffered from significant issues at launch. However, I played Jedi Survivor on PS5, and while I experienced some degree of bugginess, it was nothing significantly noteworthy in my experience. So I'll avoid that aspect of criticism, and I'll talk about issues that bothered me. And since I was just giving praise to the storytelling, let me begin my criticisms by telling you where it falls short. To begin, the story as a whole was actually really good, particularly with regard to Cal's character development. But it really seemed to be better suited for film or TV, rather than a video game. Each medium has its unique requirements for effective storytelling, which is why video game adaptations of movies have historically been bad. Fortunately, IP holders have begun to catch on to this, and are beginning to translate great games into great movies and series, and vice versa. While Jedi Survivor's story sets the stage for a grand finale from the beginning, it takes a considerable amount of time to truly gain momentum. This delay is further accentuated not only by the gaps between story-driven cutscenes, but also by the expansive size of the maps, which contribute to a sense of elongated pacing. The size of the maps in this game can sometimes feel excessive for its genre. There are so many nooks and crannies that feel like they should have some hidden treasures or paths, which just don't. And as someone who tends to meticulously explore every corner to ensure I don't miss anything, I couldn't help but feel that I was wasting a tremendous amount of time by scouring every inch of the environment only to come up empty-handed. Another aspect of the game which I believe deserves some criticism is the combat. I loved Fallen Order and typically play any game franchise I love on the hardest difficulty possible. But even on Jedi Survivor's mid-tier difficulty, some of the combat scenarios just felt unfair. And I don't think it was simply a matter of needing to get good, but I'll concede that my lack of interest in the story until later in the game may have contributed to a lack of practice. However, combat can be a little clunky, and it doesn't feel like you can do much until you've unlocked more advanced combat skills. And with 10 different skill trees to level up, it could be a little daunting to decide where to allocate your skill points. Additionally, this game throws a lot of hordes at you, so you'll often have to deal with simultaneously combating melee foes and recklessly shooting ranged enemies who seem to have never taken a firearm safety course. The controls lack the responsiveness that you might expect, and as a result, gameplay fails to provide opportunities for precise combat. Now, if you'll indulge me for just a moment, I'd like to express a minor frustration that may be more of a personal preference. We all know what lightsabers do. They effortlessly slice through nearly anything like a hot knife through butter. Keeping that in mind, this game has some really nice finisher animations, but despite the inclusion of a dedicated dismemberment toggle in the settings, there's disappointingly little actual dismemberment. While I understand the reason for limiting dismemberment by default, if the option exists, it should actually mean something. To offer a toggle and then fail to deliver meaningful results is condescending to the audience. The game included several other features, which in my view were largely inconsequential and had no real purpose. Which is fine, you can take it or leave it. But it seemed that the inclusion of these elements, alongside the already expanded range of stances, detracted from a more concentrated focus on enhancing the core combat experience. Personally, I would have preferred if the developers had allocated more resources and attention towards refining the combat mechanics, rather than dispersing efforts across peripheral aspects of the game. As I mentioned, this game has a lot of great qualities, and I'm sure a second playthrough on New Game Plus will be a lot more enjoyable with all of the skills and treasures unlocked so that I can enjoy the story at a much more appropriate pace. But do yourselves a favor and dive into this game when you have a lot of time to sink into it. I'm sure being released literally 2 weeks before the most anticipated game of all time didn't really help in terms of retention, but I do plan on returning to Jedi Survivor for the Platinum. If you've played Jedi Survivor, let me know in the comments how you feel it compares to Fallen Order. Personally, I much preferred the original, but would still love to see a new installment in the franchise, refining the aspects that I found to be lacking. And it wouldn't hurt to allow some carryover of skills from the previous game. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. I release a new review every month and expect the coming months to be big ones, so I hope you'll join me in the future. Until next time, I've been Pungent Funk. Keep it funky, fellas.